Okay, so welcome back to Term 2, Year 8. We're starting a new topic. So we're starting the topic of geometry, so start a new page and put your topic heading down. And we're going to go through some basic stuff that you should already know from Year 7, just to make sure we're okay with everything. So types of angles is first. So we're looking at one angle and what we call its type. Sometimes they use the word classify. It might say classify this angle, or it might say what type of angle is this. Okay, so the 6 types. One is acute. Acute angle is an angle between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. If you're looking at it on a diagram, it looks like that. A right angle is 90 degrees. On a diagram, it looks like this, and we have a little square that represents our right angle or our 90-degree angle. Number 3 is obtuse. So we have an angle between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. So if we start here, we've gone to acute, up to our right angle, and we go a bit further back, past the 90 degrees, and we have an angle that's between 90 and 180. It hasn't gone all the way down. It's a little bit like those lilos that go around the pool. Okay, so you've got it back to an obtuse angle. All right, number 4 is a straight angle, which looks like a straight line really. There's 180 degrees on that straight line. So that's called our straight angle. A reflex angle is between 180 degrees and 360 degrees. This is when you get somebody who's really flexible and they can go back further than lying down. Okay, so you've got somebody lying down, we flex a bit further, and we have a reflex angle. All right, if you get somebody who's extremely flexible, they'll go all the way around to here. Okay, so we've gone from here, we've gone acute to 90 degrees, further than 90 degrees, straight would be 180 degrees, and we've gone past that. So further than 180 degrees is this angle, or we can go all the way around a bit further to this angle. These are both reflex angles. We haven't gone all the way around to the 360, but we're going to now. So our revolution is 360 degrees, going all the way around, just like you do if you're on your skateboard or your surfboard and you do a revolution or a 360. That's starting here and going all the way around and back to where you started in one movement. Okay, so we're looking at angle pairs now. So all of this you have done before, but we're just making sure you've got all the exact things about these because there's a lot of little intricate things you've got to get right. The first one is complementary angles. Complementary means adds up to 90 degrees. The word complementary means adds up to 90 degrees. So on a diagram you might have a right angle, which is 90 degrees, and we split it into two angles. Those two angles would add up to 90 degrees. So they would be complementary angles. Now, when it comes to reasons in geometry, they are very pedantic about what's right and what's wrong. So we're better to give more information than not enough. Okay, and if you were looking at this in a textbook and they said, give the reason, you would say complementary adjacent angles. I'm going to come back to adjacent angles in a minute, but I'll tell you now what it is. Complementary angles have to add up to 90, and you can see that these two would add up to 90 degrees. And they are adjacent angles. These two angles are next to each other. So both things are happening there. Both words need to be in the reason. You can't just say they're complementary angles. You also have to say they're complementary adjacent angles. Okay, number 2 is supplementary angles. Supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. The word supplementary means adds up to 180 degrees. So that means if we have 180 degrees, like on a straight angle, and split it into 2 angles, these 2 angles would have to add up to the 180 degrees. That is not a reason. You cannot use supplementary angles as a reason ever in geometry. The reason for that is because the word supplementary means adds up to 180 degrees. But you have not explained why they add up to 180 degrees. So if it was this diagram here, you would say, well, those 2 angles are on a straight line, and I know that if they're on a straight line, they have to add up to 180 degrees. So you would have to say all of that. You would say angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. Or you could say angles on a straight line are supplementary, because that's what supplementary means, adds up to 180 degrees. Okay, so we're not going to go into the next test when we do testing on geometry without doing this right. I don't want to see anybody write supplementary angles as a reason. It's not a reason. Now, when you're looking at complementary and supplementary angles, some students get these mixed up. Okay, I don't want you going, oh, complementary, they add up to 180, and supplementary, they add up to 90, and getting that wrong. So this is the way you're going to remember it. If we put C and S in alphabetical order down the page, C comes before S in the alphabet. If we put 90 and 180 down the page in numerical order, 90 comes before 180. And then we just match them up. The C goes with the 90, the S goes with the 180. So there's no excuse for mucking those up. Everybody generally knows they're the 90 and the 180, they sometimes get them mixed up. Alright, the third one down the bottom here is adjacent angles, which we were talking about before. Adjacent just means next to. So the house adjacent to yours is the house next door to yours. An adjacent angle is the angle next door to your angle. Okay, so if you look at these two angles here, they are next to each other. They share a common boundary, just like you and your next door neighbour share a common fence. This is the common fence. We call it a ray or an arm when we're looking at angles. That's our common ray or our common arm, and these two angles are next to each other. Okay, so they are adjacent angles. Again, you cannot use that as a reason on its own, okay, unless you were doing a question like this one here, but they're never going to give you that. Alright, so if it comes up in the textbook and it just looks like this, you can use it, but generally in an exam, adjacent angles won't be really used for anything. If they use it, it'll be used here with the complementary. Okay, so I'm going to come back in the next video and do the rest of the angle pair reasons and terms.